If you're still relying on resumes and cold applications to land a $250K job, you're playing the wrong game. People do this because they think hiring is a fair game, but it's not. The top roles don't go to the smartest, the most experienced, or the hardest working people. Instead, they go to the best positioned. I'm AJ Mises, and I've sat inside one of the most competitive hiring machines in the world at Meta, and I've watched it happen with my own eyes. The top candidates who position themselves like they deserve a $250K salary got exactly what they wanted. And in today's video, I'm gonna show you exactly how they do it. If you know somebody who's landed a role that pays above $200,000 a year, and they landed it by doing something totally different than the other candidates, drop it in the comments because I want to read them. Most people still believe a six-figure offer comes to those who simply work hard. But staying late, hitting targets, and racking up tenure doesn't guarantee that the next high-paying role is going to find you. Because at the executive level, companies aren't hiring based on labor. They're hiring based on risk mitigation. The higher the salary, the more expensive the mistake. So hiring managers and recruiters optimize for confidence. They're not asking, hey, is this person qualified? They're asking, does this person look like they belong here? And that confidence is created months ahead with strategic personal branding online. And at this level, your digital footprint is your first impression. Before a recruiter calls you or before a hiring manager sees your resume, they're already looking at you. What they're looking for isn't what you've done. Instead, they're looking for how you're perceived or the signal that you're putting out. Are you respected in your space? Do you publish insights that reflect strategic thinking? Are you endorsed by other senior leaders? That's why your resume, your online presence, and even your presence in casual conversations has to be shifted to signal that you're thinking on this level, rather than just showing ambition and hoping to reach that level someday. At Meta, I saw this pattern so often that it became predictable. The candidates who advanced the fastest were the ones where their personal brand did the work for them. They didn't need to convince us. They just confirmed what we already saw online. And this begins with how you show up on LinkedIn. It's not just what you post, but how you're positioned, and how you're positioned through every element on your profile. So for example, your headline should reflect your executive identity. A weak headline says Director of Product at X, but a better headline says Driving Revenue Growth for AI Product Innovation. Then there's your About section. Most candidates treat it like a job history. Elite candidates use it like a pitch deck. It should immediately communicate the scale of your thinking, the size of the problems that you solve, and the direction that you're heading. So for example, instead of writing experienced operations leader with 15 years in logistics, you should write, I transform fragmented operations into scalable systems. Over the past 3 years, I've helped global teams reduce $20 million in annual waste through logistics and workflow innovation. That shift from history to impact is the first step in branding. Next is presence. Elite candidates don't just exist online. Instead, they lead. They post commentary on trends. They write about leadership lessons. They share strategic insights instead of surface level fluff. This doesn't mean that you have to write a newsletter every week. It means that when somebody visits your profile, there's evidence of thought leadership, posts that reflect depth, comments that add proof and value that you're leading at the next level. And most importantly, networking helps you amplify your brand. So strategically engage with a handful of key people consistently. So hiring managers, past colleagues, respected voices in your field. If 5 directors at high growth firms are commenting on your posts, recruiters notice, because influence is contagious and your network pre-sells your credibility. Who you associate with or who associates with you says a lot about your value. Now, let's go deeper because elite candidates take things a step further that nobody else does. You've been taught to show what you can do. So you list all of your skills. But when you're aiming for 250K plus roles, that kind of thinking can actually lower your value. Because at that level, no one is hiring you for what you can do. Hiring managers don't look for talent, they look for transformation. And that's why elite candidates don't speak in bullet points. They speak in business outcomes. So when you say, I led marketing campaigns, sounds nice. But when you say, I led a campaign that increased inbound leads by 140%, adding 12 million to the pipeline in Q3 alone. Now you're seeing impact. And that impact becomes your price tag. Over the years, I've coached leaders who struggled in interviews because they couldn't speak about business outcomes, but their salaries jumped when I showed them how to talk about the important stuff. Things like revenue growth, margin expansion, and time savings. If you can't articulate your ROI, nobody's gonna do it for you. And if a hiring manager has to work hard to connect your experience to their bottom line, they're gonna move on to somebody who makes the connection really obvious, which makes the hiring manager's life a lot easier. That's why your positioning must prove one thing. Here's what changes when you hire me. So think of your resume like a case study. Every bullet should finish this sentence. And as a result of what I did, the business and in interviews, show how you move the needle. Use numbers, use clear examples, keep it simple. You don't need a dramatic story, you just need to know what changed because of you. The easiest way to do that is to answer 3 questions. What was the problem? How did you solve it? And what happened as a result? So we start with the problem. What wasn't working before you stepped in? And this really helps set the stage and shows that you understand the business context. Then explain how you solved it. What actions did you take to fix the issue? Keep it focused and practical. And finally, show the result. What improved? And how can you quantify it with time saved, revenue added, costs reduced? So for example, you could say something like this. When I joined, we were losing nearly 40% of new users in the first week of onboarding. I took the lead on redesigning the entire flow and partnering with support to identify where users were dropping off. Within a quarter, we cut churn by 25%, boosted 30-day retention by 32%, and saved over $1.6 million in annual revenue. That's what hiring managers want to hear. Clear, measurable outcomes. The more that you connect your work with business results, the more valuable and hireable that you become. But delivering results is only half the equation. The real advantage comes when you show these results before anyone even asks. Because when you look like the solution from the outside, everything else becomes easier, including the interview and the salary negotiations. Most candidates spend hours rehearsing exactly what they're going to say once they land an interview. But the interview isn't where trust is built. It's where it's confirmed. By the time you're face to face, the decision makers already have a feeling about you. If you're waiting to prove your value in the interview, you're arriving too late, because the most successful candidates walk in with the upper hand. They've already positioned themselves as the obvious choice before the interview even starts. This doesn't happen by accident. It happens through intentional authority building, through brand polish, social proof, and strategic visibility that signals, I'm already operating at the level that you need. I've seen high-level candidates get inbound messages for VP roles without ever applying, because their profile didn't read like a job seeker. It read like a leader who was already thinking and talking like a VP. Their featured section had interviews, awards, case studies, and recommendations that created silent proof. Before a recruiter even reached out, that candidate already looked like a win. I teach my clients to treat their online presence like an executive storefront. It shouldn't be flashy and fluffy, but it should be clear, credible, and outcome-driven. Recruiters and hiring leaders scan your presence in seconds. They look for proof. They ask, does this person look like someone that people trust? Are they plugged into the industry conversation? Do they act like they belong at the top? If this is starting to sound like a strategy that you've been missing, tap the subscribe button below, because this is one of the many ways that elite candidates win the 250K plus game. And I'm sharing exactly what they are every week here on my channel. And when all of that positioning clicks into place, you start attracting roles. But even then, there's one final gatekeeper: negotiation. And at 250K plus, it's not about having a collaborative conversation. It's all about controlling the frame. The moment a hiring manager asks, what are your salary expectations? They're not just trying to get a number. They're assessing how you think. Do you see yourself as an asset that drives outcomes, or a cost that needs justifying? This says a lot about you. If you respond with hesitation or uncertainty, it sends a loud signal. This person hasn't thought it through. That single moment can undo everything that you've built in your interviews, because if you can't confidently state your value, they won't believe you actually have any. One of the most common mistakes is letting the company anchor first. Elite candidates never do this, because the first number on the table becomes the lens through which all value is judged. And when companies anchor low, it's really hard to pull the offer back up. Instead, you need to pre-frame the conversation, so you don't wait for the comp question. You set the tone early by tying their impact to business outcomes and referencing roles in the same compensation bracket. So don't ask, what's the budget? You should lead with, here's the range that reflects the value that I drive or what the market's paying right now. In fact, the best negotiators don't sound pushy. They don't need to push. Their value is so clearly documented and confidently delivered that comp teams walk away thinking, honestly, we're getting a deal. That's the mindset shift. So stop thinking about what you want or what feels fair, and start thinking about what it would cost the company to not have someone who delivers what you do. Your compensation isn't determined at the end of the interview process. It's shaped by the way that you framed your value from the very beginning. And that means your negotiation begins before you even talk numbers. This is how the professionals all do it. A big mistake that most candidates make is not knowing how much their actions were worth. So they default to soft language, to vague ranges, or passive asks. That hesitation is what costs them tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of a year. So prepare for this type of meeting like you prepare for a pitch deck. Tie every win to a business metric. Translate every achievement into revenue gained, time saved, or risks reduced. Practice saying those numbers out loud until it feels like second nature. If you want to get paid like a leader, you have to negotiate like one. So clear, direct, and confident. No apology, no over-explaining, just a calm, matter-of-fact statement of value with numbers that match. If you're ready to stop guessing and start positioning yourself like a top-tier candidate, this is what my team can help you do. We work one-on-one with high-performing leaders, with executives, and professionals who want to transition to 250K plus roles. We've already helped thousands of professionals through Career Strategy, securing comp packages that they couldn't land before us. So, if you're serious about stepping into your next six-figure role, then tap the link on your screen or in the description box below and book a free consultation with us, because we're going to help build a custom plan to help you stand out, sell your impact, and finally take control of your career.